Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Millennials. I am here with Jesse. I'm going to let Jesse tell her who she is, but she leads product marketing for Loom. If you haven't used Loom before, you're probably in a ditch somewhere, or I'm kidding, but like Loom is everywhere. And people, if you haven't sent a video explaining what you do or a process or stuff, Loom is a great product for that. But I'll let Jesse explain it more. But also, Jesse, how did you get into marketing? Let's start there.
Hey, Daniel. Thank you for having me. I actually had a weird roundabout path into my current role, as many marketers do. So I actually started in book editing, in publishing for one of sort of the big five at Penguin, then Random House. And I then moved into SEO and content marketing when it was the buzzword. And I thought my skills would translate. I ended up being client facing at an agency role. Then I shifted into demand gen, had a couple of startups that I was working at be acquired, and ultimately found myself in product marketing and quite happy in this very central, very connected collaborative role. I was at Loom a little bit before our acquisition by Atlassian, and now I am part of the Loom team, and the larger product marketing org I'm on is the Teamwork Collection, which is a combination of Jira, Confluence, and Loom at Atlassian.
I want to go into just to explain what product marketing is for you, because I feel like product marketing is one of the hardest roles to explain. But it's like it is probably the most needed roles in an org, but it's also one of the hardest roles to explain why you need product marketing. So could you give what does product marketing mean at Loom and Atlassian?
Yeah. So I feel really lucky because product marketing at Atlassian, we're essentially the CMOs of our product lines, or the general managers of our product lines or our app lines. And what that means is all of our go-to-market strategy is coming out of me and my team for Loom. So this puts us at, if you have those like Venn diagram circle examples in your mind, this puts us at the center of the product strategy, of the sales strategy, and of all of those sort of flywheel go-to-market pieces that we have bringing in self-serve customers. So it's a really great place to be if you love to always have too much on your plate, always be prioritizing, and be just super central to all of the work that's happening on go-to-market.
So you started at Loom, and then it got acquired. Could you explain what does day one coming into a company like Loom, what it looks like to execute a product marketing strategy, and what it looked like? How did you get that going at Loom?
Yeah. So Loom, we've really evolved our go-to-market strategy. Obviously, as part of coming into Atlassian, everything is exponentially bigger, the budgets, the teams, the collaboration size. But we have, over the last few years, shifted from doing sort of go-to-market launch announcements feature by feature into a much larger campaign strategy, solutions marketing strategy, where we're bundling things up. We're trying to tell these bigger stories. Now we get to tell stories like Loom plus Jira, Loom plus Confluence. So we're really at a much more mature phase than even just a few years ago in sort of go-to-market. If you think of like a maturity curve from sort of product marketing, maybe doing release notes or community notes and a blog post or two, into like really being central to a demand gen, a paid social, an organic social, and SEO, all of these pieces coming together.
And something I think that's cool about, being head of product marketing for like a product line like Loom is I bet you use it every single day to explain what you're doing. So could you explain how you use your own product to execute product marketing?
Every single day. And I am proud and authentic when I say I used Loom before coming to Loom. I actually used Loom very notably in a job interview a couple jobs ago. And I was like doing an assignment, the take-home assignment. And I was like, I can't get what I'm trying to say across in the writing and like in an email. It's not working. So I did a Loom like walkthrough of what I've been working on, and the interview went so well. So I've been indebted to Loom ever since. But in my day to day, there really is so many aspects of Loom that help me as a marketer, from a marketing leader who is communicating with my team or being communicated with, to how we work with our stakeholders, to how we actually manage our campaigns. So I can kind of like break those into pieces if that works, and kind of.
Yeah, I think break it in pieces, because I think even if this wasn't Loom, like I think what you're doing, explaining through video of what, and explaining through audio what you're doing to your team is super helpful. But break it down on those three phases that you do.
Yeah. So again, back to, if you are in that ditch and not using Loom, what we are at the core is you can record your screen, record your camera, record your audio, and send a video communication, a video message. So that's sort of what we would call like async video communication. You can also, as of recently, add Loom to your meetings and have a note taker doing all of the AI functionality that you expect to have those notes feed into Atlassian Confluence and Atlassian's AI Rovo. But I'll focus first on the async portion, because I think it's the most transformative way a lot of marketing teams aren't operating, and they're missing out on a lot of connection and efficiency, and frankly, just like ease of work by not using Loom. Obviously, very biased, but let me start as sort of a team leader. A couple of the daily ways. So my manager actually every Monday posts a Loom of top of minds into our leadership channel, so that I'm able to, when I log in for work, kind of catch up on what they think is the priority for them, for where they're spending their time. If anything new has come up in executive ops meetings, they can share that down, cascade the information right away. I don't have to wait for like our next one-on-one to kind of know what's going on at the larger business sense. So that's actually how I start my week. And then throughout the week, there's various moments where I need to maybe update my team if we're probably all familiar. Maybe there's a pivot. Maybe there's a big announcement. Maybe Atlassian bought another startup and we have to adjust plans in some way. So sharing out information in this way with my team is like a top way I use Loom. I don't have to pause everything my team is doing, call a meeting, like make it on my time zone. Loom gives me as a leader sort of the ability to model time empathy, which is maybe something might be easier for me to call a meeting. Maybe it's not easier for my teammate to jump on at that time. So I do a lot of communication out, up and down with Loom. And we actually worked with our Teamwork Labs, which is a team of behavioral scientists at Atlassian, to do a little research test of managers who shared information out each week with Loom updates, and did a sort of control test with folks who did the same thing, but with like bulleted kind of, here's what I'm thinking about on Slack. And we saw like 2x connection with your manager when you shared these Loom updates, and people knew their goals more clearly, and they sort of felt recognized and appreciated in increased ways with Loom. So from a leadership perspective, I think that Loom is a really great way for marketing leaders to just start to model that time of empathy, model a better way to cascade information and make your teams feel connected to you, even when you can't do maybe all of the one-on-ones you wish you could do during the week. So that's one really big way.
I'll add to that too, is I think the best thing you could do as a leader is make your team feel in the loop like really quickly. So after you go to a meeting, if you could just say like, hey, here are the 3 things I learned from the leadership, like the executive meeting or something. They don't have to wait for so long and feel also this anxiety that, hey, I don't know what they said and that I don't know what to do. I don't know what to execute. If a leader just comes and says, oh, here's the 3 or 4 takeaways. And you just said also that it's easier for the leader too now, because they can use their AI note taker. The AI note taker takes a note. They can distill those 3 or 4 items in a video format, and it's more personable because they're getting on camera or they're getting on screen and saying, here are the 3 or 4 takeaways. And now your team feels way more like, hey, I feel like I was in that meeting, instead of feeling like I'm loved. I feel like that's the worst thing as a manager, or like an executor to feel like you don't get a seat in a meeting, but this gives you a seat in the meeting pretty quickly.
Absolutely. It's no fun to just always have like contextless projects dumped on you, and you wish you could see the bigger picture because you don't feel connected to the work without the context. And Loom is a great way to do that. So the difference between me being like, "Hey Daniel, can you get me this report?" just in a quick message with a period at it, or "Hey, I just jumped out of this meeting and I'm running to another one. This is a video message just to explain that like the CMO asked for this thing. Could you find this data? I have no idea where it is. Please help me." Like the difference in receiving that, you're going to feel so much more valued when you're like in the loop.
Yeah, and also like what I also like about Loom is that you could like quickly screen share and say, "Hey, here are like if you just go here and go here and go here, you could find this and this and this." Instead of like trying to explain, go to this, go to that, click on this, click on that. And that's the most painful thing. And because then you're going to keep asking questions and questions and questions. Like it's easy to just be like, here, this is what I need to do. Here's this. Could you put it in this? And especially if you have like a system like Confluence or something where you're organizing things, like showing people where things are, like, because sometimes when you're new to a team, you don't know where things are. And it's like, it's so much easier to see it visually than just have someone type it to you or just say it to you as well.
100%. You better believe all of my onboarding new hire pages have so many Loom videos. Like you can't just link someone to a report and be like, "Can you get the number from here?" You have to give all the code. Like you can give with Loom, walk through the report. What do all these acronyms even mean? What is this data actually showing? How do you rerun it? And then it's exactly like you said, teach someone once with a Loom, they can reference it. Saves me 1 million meetings to spend time recording this once and keeping it handy. Great tool for sort of getting what's in my head as a process out of my head.
Yeah, I actually was just talking about this with someone about, and we can go to the phase 2 after, but with like AI has like made doing documentation so much easier because you can like talk to text and all that stuff. But now if you add talk to text with a video too, it's like you can do the video with talk to text easy, and or take the transcript on the video, feed it to AI, and then have like a text version too. There's like so many different ways. Now it makes documentation so much easier. When before you had to like type out every little thing, like step 1, I have to do this. Step 2, they can take screenshots and take this.
You procrastinate doing that just because you.
I never did it. I would never do it.
No,
that was the worst part of my week. I was like, let me just do that end of month because I don't need to do it now.
This is universal across all teams. You don't want to do the documentation when it's writing. When you can pull up a Loom and just be like, let me show you this time I do it. And AI, like you said, can take the transcript. Loom can turn it into a structured SOP from just you walking through. I can meander and like swear 37 times. That doesn't make it into the SOP. Like it's great. It's so much faster.
Yes. I mean, that was, I think, one of the worst parts of a marketing role, I would have to say, is like the documentation, especially at a place like where you're at scale, where everything needs to be documented. Like startup, it's like you start that process a little bit, but like at the scale like Loom, Atlassian, like every process needs to, because someone else needs to know how to do it, or there's another team in another region that needs to know how to do it. And you have all these time zones, like you said. It's just like someone needs to be a backup plan for you sometimes. So it's so much easier. I love how much time is saved now with like tools like Loom and AI, and that are like feeding this way easier. Like if I back in marketing ops, if I had this, I probably would have stayed in marketing ops because it makes it so much easier.
There is possibly, this is very dorky, but like there might be nothing like the joy of seeing, because we have like sort of an AI agent integrated into one of the channels where our sales team asks for a lot of help. And like a lot of times it can just pull in like the Loom video or the documentation that my team has created already and just automatically answer a question. And I'm just sitting back like, ha 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 ha. We have it all. There's no traps anymore. We're ready.
Exactly. It's like and that is also the worst thing too, is like someone asks for something and now there's another task on your list. But if it is already created easily, like you already knocked off a task before a task even was created. I think that's the
Already
worst thing.
created, and AI can serve it up. Like that is the glory of the future, where we're
Yeah, it's
actually
like,
saving time, not
yeah,
just
please don't
pretending we're
DM
doing
me
that.
now. Just ask the AI bot. And then if you really need questions, you could DM me after, but I don't need my DMs full as well.
Yeah. We actually have a marketing team mantra, which is, did you robo that question first, which is Atlassian sort of AI tool, which is like that old snarky version of like, why don't I Google that for you? But like a lot of this information exists, and our first instinct needs to be sort of use our little AI sidekick.
I love that. I think I'm going to use that now. Like, did you ask AI yet, or did you robo that? Yeah, that's a great question. So phase two. So as a marketing leader, there's great tools. Now, what's like the next other use cases that you see are very successful?
Yeah. So I'm actually really excited about how my team runs our campaigns with Loom as sort of the backbone. And I can kind of start from we do like one big quarterly campaign, and we usually rotate amongst my team who is sort of the lead strategist. That person is often orchestrating across 50 plus stakeholders from engineering, product, legal, social, demand gen, leadership, all of these people who need to be at some stage informed. And the old way of starting a program like this is you just invite people to a meeting. They might have a little bit of context and an agenda, but they're kind of like, okay, this meeting's on my calendar. I'm going to show up, or I'm not going to show up and I'm going to be completely out of the loop. So my team starts from our documentation is Confluence. So starting with the campaign strategy, we get that in a really good place on a Confluence page. They record a walkthrough of what the program is, what our goals are, why we're doing it, who the audience is, and run through like all the different pieces. So everyone in the pre-watch that we share out has all of this grounding in what it is, why they should spend their time or not coming to this meeting. If they don't have questions, they're welcome to skip. We will be recording it with Loom. But like you don't have just a kickoff, you have all this context rich before aligning folks, and that gets shared out really broadly. And then we have these async Loom pre-watch checkpoints throughout the campaign process through with what we call crits. So we do this both for marketing programs and product programs, where we have sort of a critique review channel. And 24 hours before your scheduled crit, whatever the topic is, whether it's a feature or a part of the program, you share a pre-watch going through what you want feedback on, showing designs, or maybe it's a marketing web page that we want feedback on, or things like that. And everyone who is participating in the crit has to watch the pre-watch and share their questions ahead of time. So no one's coming in and getting like surprise curveball questions. All of them are organized in a doc and a page that we focus the live discussion on. And it makes those meetings much shorter. So instead of an hour-long meeting that's half context and half just like, what's going on, catch me up, it's just a really focused, here are the top questions we want to discuss, align on, decisions we need made. And a lot of the work and thought shifts into that pre-watch async. So it's using Loom in this way that is not passive. It's not a share out. It's actually just like that context setting moment and time for everyone to get their best questions and their best feedback and their best ideas to the working team. So as an example that's more specific, the last crit before our campaign goes live is what we call end-to-end marketing journey. So we work with product. We have a whiteboard of everything from our initial marketing touch points, social posts, emails, where they're driving to, where in the product or website that journey is, what the in-product messages are, what the upgrade flow is, all the way through to either using the feature or upgrading all of these things and looking at like the admin view, the different persona, like different pricing tier views. And so we can use that to show leadership, like we have thought of this holistic journey. Here's how we are getting to our business goals. Here's what the customer experience is, making sure the messaging is cohesive. And this is a really great thing to do async in a Loom because you can show everyone the full journey, let them sit with it, let them come with ideas, or, hey, actually, this feels like there's too much friction here. What can we do? And then the live conversation can be, is that worth something that's fixable? Like, should we take that as a note for next time? But I think a lot of times marketing and product are separate. And this like process of crits really brings us together and makes us true partners in everything that we're doing in go-to-market.
Yeah, I also think two things that it does, like I don't think intentionally, but it's like a QA process because you had to go
Hmm.
through the process. So you're like, oh wait, this is actually not working. This is not working when you do the
Yeah,
QA
yeah.
before. Like, so I think it's a forcing function to for you to go through the process and see if it what like because someone's going to find it, and it's better that you the stakeholder finds the problem than someone else. But I do love that the context setting part of it, because I think there's always that one person in the meeting that says, catch me up what this meeting is about. And if there's like if you put it in the like, hey, to come to this meeting you have to watch like the
Hmm.
context, it just saves so much time with that one or two people who don't take that meeting seriously beforehand and come in and say why we're in this meeting, what's this meeting about. It just, and no, to be honest, nobody wants to read. The worst thing I hate is when there's a 15-page document to read before a meeting that you to get
I
context.
can't I know my brain doesn't work well when I'm given a bunch of data and asked to react live, or creative and asked to react live. Like, I need that time to sit, and I think a lot of other people do too. So you get the best of everything. But to your point, it is a change management that you need to introduce and sort of model top down. Like, we don't come to the meeting without watching the pre-watch, and like that's for our head of product, that's for our leadership, our executives. We set this standard. And if you're not prepared, like if something happened, like, yeah, you'll watch the recording later and you'll share that feedback later. But just like getting in this model of, we don't derail with the context setting piece. We really work to get that as a way of working. Like, you need to manage your calendar for async work, so set aside the time to review looms or to prep.
I also think the most one of the most surprising thing I see in marketing orgs is how many people do not know like how to use the product, because nobody's walking through like new feature updates and
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, and having a team that's actually doing that in a marketing, like product marketing, actually helping explain that and make it easier for marketing, like content marketing to understand, demand gen to understand. Because if you're not in an org like Loom where you could use the product every day and know the tools, there are some teams that are like serving a different audience that aren't, and it's so much easier to be like, hey, we this is the new feature, this is what it does for this is how what happens, this is what, like if I was to like, say a plumber, this is how a plumber would use this in their day to day. Here's something you should know for the marketing material, and show them. Like, that was like the worst thing is like, as a marketer in an org where I wasn't using the product every day, it was hard when there was like four more new features and I had to get an explainer. Not like, I'm not a plumber, so I don't know what this actually means in marketing terms. So someone explaining in video is so much better in an organization, I think.
Yes, yes. I'm fully spoiled because I do get to work on a product that I can
Yeah.
use every day. But the idea of Loom is very, it's the same no matter if it's a really technical. I've worked on products where I couldn't even get a login. It was very like tech heavy, but the person who does have a login, that PM, can record all of that feature and explain it and voice it over in an accessible way and hand off that information. So it feels much different than like a PRD that you're getting that's just like a wall of text and you don't actually know what the product experience is.
And I think, especially, I mean, I think one of the number one things in marketing to succeed, it doesn't matter what org you are, and um, there's always ways to get this faster, but like speed is one of the biggest things to. And even if you're at Atlassian or you're at a startup, there's ways to accelerate you as a marketing team getting a campaign out faster, and I think a tool where you can explain things faster, everybody's on the same page faster, everybody knows things faster, saves those contexts of most orgs are bigger orgs. It's because someone can't meet for a week and a half. So
Mhm.
now we're a week and a half back on the campaign launch because that one person can't give context. But if you have video format and AI transcripts and It's syncing into your organizational system that you have. Now there's no excuses for that wait for that one person anymore, because that one person can catch up via video format.
100%. This will sound made up, but I swear it's true. We just did our first brand campaign ever for Loom. Atlassian has an amazing brand marketing team. And after we finished the campaign, they were like, this was so much faster than any other campaign we've done. And I was like, what's the difference? They were like, you made us use Loom for all of the executive reviews instead of setting the time for like a week. And then that meeting got pushed and then our ad wasn't approved. We just recorded it with all the context and like sent it over. And it was like, okay, the next day. So I was like, yeah, that feels good. I'm going to use that in our marketing now.
I mean, it's just one of my good friends, like he's been using Loom for so long and it just saves so much time. Him having to explain, especially when you're like a tech, like in all these systems that marketers have now, like, hey, here's the 5 clicks that you need to do this. Mm-hmm. This is the reason why you need these 5 clicks. I'll explain why. Here's the goal for it. And you just send it out so quickly. And it's so annoying having to do it yourself and then say, hey, wait, this step, like, what does this step actually do? It's just a pain. It's a pain to go through that.
I can't take instructions the old way anymore. Just
I love it. Could you explain, okay, so you do set up all these looms. Like what is could you walk me through like an example campaign that you would run and how you would fit like looms into it and organize it so people can, like you said, that campaign move fast? What did it look like from like inception to like execution?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a fun campaign we just did over the summer, which was the feature at the heart of it was we were GAing the note taker functionality that lets Loom come to your Zoom calls, come to your team calls, put the meeting notes and the recap into Confluence instantly, have a robo agent that can analyze it. So we could have just gone to market with like that, like it's a note taker, and been very straightforward. But from a place of, we always want to remember like our B2B buyers, they're people, like work is actually really emotional for a lot of people. And like, we need to connect to that need. So the campaign strategy became, it's summer for a lot of our customers. Right now we have a pretty US heavy base, working to improve that and go full global. But summer vacation season is actually pretty stressful for people to feel comfortable. Like in the work up to a vacation, you're so stressed. You worried you're missing a bunch of things. And then you come back to work and you have heartburn because you missed all this stuff. So how can we position our launch as sort of this AI-based way to prep for and feel confident before and after your vacation, your summer vacation? Like, what can you do? Best practices for setting your team up for success, knowing you're not letting anyone down. And so we built out all this content around there. And it all started from someone on my team had this idea that they just pitched via Loom. So we do this a lot where it's like, hey, Loom idea, like idea bulb emoji, not a rush, but like, what if we did this thing? And they kind of talked through their idea. They didn't wait for a meeting. And a bunch of us were like, this is great. Let's like build out the strategy on that. And we'll start socializing it. So we use Loom from the very start, from like idea into, like I talked about, we do our full kickoff with like a pre-watch of what the strategy page will be, what everyone's role will be on the program. And so the program moves forward like that, with Loom kind of behind the scenes, helping orchestrate, helping catch people up as they're brought into the program, making sure that there's always this like overview in the documentation page of all of the pieces and the goals and the timelines and all of that. And then so there's like that piece behind the scenes where we're doing the crits, we're sharing feedback, we're doing design reviews with Loom. And then there's also a customer facing piece, which is we can then do all of our education with Loom videos. So maybe we do have this blog post that's like the step-by-step guide to being out of office, like what to do before, how to use AI to catch up and all of this. Well, there's a Loom like guide in it also that really takes you through the clicks. So maybe you're not familiar with using a robo agent and you actually want a little like 30-second demo. We have that. We have that for sales. We have that for people to use and all of these different pieces. And so from the customer facing Loom side, we see a lot of success with email click-through rates and higher engagement when we include like that GIF of the Loom in the email. And it's not a standard like text email. It's like, actually just click through. We will demo this for you. There's no gating. Like it's really easy. So from like both the backbone and the customer facing side, we use Loom like end to end. Which I know most people aren't able to do as the product they use, but you can use Loom even if you're not marketing Loom to do whatever you're trying to campaign.
I do love I love I think images and GIFs are the way to stand out. So I do love when you see like, hey, like someone says like, hey, Daniel, or like something funny as that GIF to like get me to click on. Cause I swear I get the people who DM me with a Loom video, I'm more likely to watch that and see what they're trying to say versus someone who just DMs me and says nothing.
It makes it personal. We bring this into our sales training all the time, which is of course another facet of product marketing. We see, I want to say it's a 29% increase in win rates when our sellers use Loom to like send demos or send recaps of the calls to prospects. Just like not even if they're selling Loom necessarily, we train like all of the Atlassian sellers that it's a really great way to capture attention, to build that connection. It's hard to get on people's calendars. Like you, everyone is getting 1,000 like outbound messages every day. And it can really make it much more personal, make it clear you put some effort into tailoring this pitch, thinking about this person and introducing yourself.
I want to ask you one more question is, what is a marketing hill you would die on? I ask everybody in the podcast this question.
I think my marketing hill I would die on is do not forget about your internal marketing. So I think a lot of really wonderful marketers don't build into their programs the hype internally that we need to bring people along on all of the great stuff we're doing and how it connects to the business impact. And this is not to like politic and make yourself look important, but it makes it so everyone who's working on the feature and working on something that we're bringing to market feels really connected to how it's getting to customers and how we are transforming their work into business revenue or engagement and adoption, all of these things. And we forget to bring people along on that journey. And it's not just so people understand what marketing is and the value, because there is like this, oh, it's fluffy perception. It can be cut. Maybe they're just doing tweets or something. But so many of my team's best programs have started from someone across the organization who watches something we do that we've kind of hyped up internally with a blog or a Loom post or something like that. And they have an idea and now they know who to share that idea with. And we get the best work and ideas out of like a random SDR who messages someone on my team to say they saw a Loom video they shared and they actually have been thinking about this thing. And my team would never have known this customer insight or gotten this great idea from like an engineer or SDR or elsewhere. And so like the marketing hill is probably a version of the greatest ideas don't come from marketing. Marketing superpower is transforming ideas from anywhere into impact. And to do that, you have to be able to get those ideas. And internal marketing is like one way you really make yourself known as the team to come to with just like, even if it's a grain of a thought or an insight.
I love that. I know it's just to piggyback on that. I think so many good marketing ideas die because there's no internal marketing, like because there's no hype and internally, there's no selling your ideas, there's no sharing your wins, there's no like our job as a marketing team is to make sure that people understand what marketing is doing at all times, and what we're putting out there in the world, and make people proud of what the company is doing externally and internally. And if you're not doing that, you are going to fall short because I always tell that one of the most important skills of marketing is the selling ideas internally. It's not because you can be the best creative person, but if you can't sell that creative idea internally, it's come to fruition. So,
And if we're not open about how those ideas happen, the younger, new to the workforce generations aren't going to know how to do it in exchange. So it's also like it's continuing that education, showing how things become, all the work behind the scenes and all the hype comes together to
yeah,
just.
that's also an important part too. I like that because I think people don't see that work that goes into a marketing campaign, that goes into the hours, the the pieces
Mhm.
stitched together. People always see the end result, and it either is good or bad, but at least they only see that good or bad. They don't see everything,
Mhm.
the thought process behind it, why we did it, the how we executed it, all these people we talked to make sure it happened. They don't see that, so I think that's super
Mhm.
important. Lastly, where can people find you
Great.
or see how Loom works for their business?
I have no idea where they can find me. The internet is scary. But we have a great monthly newsletter for Loom, the Rewind. You can find it on the Atlassian.com site. You can look at Loom there and sign up on the blog. And so we have actually, I'm hosting a webinar next week or next month with a really interesting CMO. Like we're doing a lot of really, we want it to be inspirational content because our big challenge is like getting people excited about a new way of working. So going for, of course, not salesy, but inspiring content, encourage people to sign up for that.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for coming on, and this was awesome. And um, I'm glad we're talking about one of the most important parts of marketing is that internal marketing, that work that needs to be done that people don't talk about, which is like the documentation, the internal marketing, the hyping up your team, the saving time on meetings, which is will help you do the so-called fun stuff in marketing. So
Yeah. The behind the scenes can be cool. That's the main takeaway.
yeah,
Thank you so much for
exactly.
having me.